Hi, everyone. This is Zach Hawkins, Director of Development for UNC Student Affairs, and this is Inside Student Affairs, your behind the scenes look with the leaders who are making a difference in the world of UNC Student Affairs, the place where the student experience is made. And today I have with me an incredibly special guest, Dr. Christi Hurt, the Senior Prevention Strategy Officer for UNC Student Affairs. And so she's going to talk a little bit about her work. She's newly back at the university and is excited to talk about her work in the space of wellness and interpersonal violence. And so, Christi, how are you?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me today.
Good, good, good. Well, always. You are not new to this campus. No. And of course, you're now a triple Tar Heel. Is that correct?
It is correct. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. A good memory, and an incredible colleague, too. And so I just want to jump in, if that's okay, because this is meant for our donors, our friends, our alums, people who love student affairs and understand how we impact the campus. And so I just want to start off by welcoming you back to Carolina, but then also giving you the opportunity to talk about what your role means and how did you get here?
Thanks so much. And again, I appreciate the invitation to come and talk with you today. So my new role, I serve now as the Senior Prevention Strategy Officer for Student Affairs at the university. My journey here has been interesting in that it's sort of not a traditional higher ed background that I bring. And I worked for violence against women organizations, working on prevention and advocacy efforts for about 20 years before coming back to my alma mater, UNC-Chapel Hill, to work in the Carolina Women's Center. I served in the Title IX operation when we were developing that service and that whole system. And then I came over to Student Affairs after all of that work to really focus on issues related to campus safety and wellness and student development. And in all of those different roles, I really learned how to build a community and what it takes to really try to create a culture of safety on a campus. And I was so interested in really continuing this work that I went back to graduate school here at the Gillings School of Global Public Health to pursue my doctorate in public health, where I really focused on what it looks like to create a campus safety environment that specifically focuses on preventing interpersonal violence. And since that had been my experience for all those years in nonprofits working to end violence against women, it really applied very nicely as sort of the bookend to my academic experience to focus on strategies that can keep a campus safe. And it coincided very nicely with UNC also realizing that there was an opportunity to really build a leadership space around prevention efforts. And they created the Senior Prevention Strategy Officer role to really elevate interpersonal violence prevention strategies at the leadership level of the institution, promote student wellness across all the different sort of categories, if you will, of student wellness and development, and bring those pieces together at the university to really create a safe campus for everyone. As I was completing my doctorate, this position became available, and I was so very excited to apply my newly sort of honed skills, if you will, and my research experience into this role to seam up what we're doing in the student wellness space with what we're doing in the interpersonal violence prevention space to elevate all of those issues at the top layer of the institution. So it's been a pleasure to come back and have the honor of fulfilling this role.
Wow. That is impressive, and we are so glad again to have you here. Not to mention you can't get enough of UNC, but you're coming back in a role that is this issue is not just a Carolina issue; it's an issue across the country on every college campus. And so I just want to make sure that I'm clear for everyone who may listen. You will serve as the lead campus-wide, and then the second question is how will you interface with the academic side on this issue?
Well, that's one of the things that makes this role so very exciting. Absolutely. I am the lead campus-wide. And while the position is housed in student affairs, the hope for the position is that we will be tying all of this effort to all the different parts of campus. So working with the academic enterprise, working with the research enterprise, and working both in the curricular space to develop classes that can address some of these issues, but also work with the wonderful researchers that we have here on campus who are already working on different forms of violence prevention research or response research, and making sure that we are building what we learn in that evidence base into our practices as an institution, and then taking what we learn from our practices and feeding it back into the research space. So we have that reciprocity, if you will, of research to practice, which can really strengthen our operation across all levels. So it's very exciting to think about this across the academic space, the student affairs space, and everything in between.
It is. It's the perfect, I think, again, the perfect person, the perfect time, and the perfect issue. And again, the people that really care about this issue really care. And so I know that they will be excited to have a champion like you here. But one of the things that this also couples in is someone that they also know and love, Dean Blackburn, who's been here for a very long time and is iconic in the wellness space. So talk about the work that you all will do together in the AOD and substance abuse space.
Yep. Dean is wonderful, as you have already acknowledged, and he's got a great team. And the wellness team works on a few different levels at the institution to try to make sure that we are really building an environment that is promoting student wellness and supporting folks who need the support to become well again if they are struggling. And so in the alcohol or substance abuse space, plus other forms of wellness activities, they are looking at community level interventions and support. So things like campaigns around sleep hygiene, making sure that folks know they can have safe activities after dark, with the After Dark series at Carolina, to make sure that folks are partying in a safe way without alcohol or substances where that is feasible on campus. And then they also have, of course, individuals who provide one-on-one support for students who need it most. So one of the really wonderful things about the operation that Dean has built is that it does all of those things. It works with individuals, it works with communities, and it really strives on a variety of levels to promote mental health support, sleep hygiene, nutritional wellness, sexual health, and everything that our students need in order to pursue all the dimensions of wellness so they are healthy and whole humans as they pursue their academic interests here at the institution. And that's just been a really wonderful, wonderful department that supports students in so many ways, both proactively and reactively. And it's my honor to supervise that unit with Dean and to support their work moving forward.
No, thank you for that. And not to mention it's helped thousands.
Absolutely.
I can't tell you how many people that I get a chance to interact with that just rave about the work that they've been able to do and the transformational nature of that work and how it's allowed students to continue to matriculate through the university. And so we definitely give our hats off to him. But back to interpersonal violence, Christi, what are the most common forms of interpersonal violence that are common on a college campus, and what should the Carolina community be on the lookout for?
Absolutely. And so there are four major buckets, if you will, of interpersonal violence that we really are working to eliminate: dating violence, domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking. And those terms come up based on sort of federal guidance and policies, but also are what we see in our student population. And so the things that I think folks often think about sexual assault or rape, if you will, as the dominant form of interpersonal violence on a college campus. And while those cases are serious and significant and certainly happen a lot for campuses across the country, we also want to pursue efforts to really prevent other forms of harassment and violence and exploitation, if you will. So students who send naked pictures of each other without consent, right? Sexting without consent or things like that. That's something that we see that we really want to prevent. Forms of sexual harassment or unwanted pursuit behavior, people who continue to advance a conversation or invitations when somebody clearly wants that to stop. And so those dynamics are things that we're really training students about how to approach in a mindful way, always centering the notion of affirmative consent, right? That making sure that whoever you are talking to or interacting with wants to be a part of that conversation, wants to be a part of that sexual activity, making sure those definitions are clear to students, making sure they have the tools that they need to negotiate those situations and experiences in a healthy way, and have the confidence to express what they need and to listen when someone else is telling them what they want or don't want. And so having those conversations are really the important pieces of the puzzle here as we're trying to promote the environment where we can eliminate interpersonal violence for everyone.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Christi, I can't thank you again for coming and being a part of this conversation. You've given valuable information to our friends, our donors, and those who care about this conversation. What are ways that alumni and friends and parents can take part in this work and also support the work that you're doing now that you're back and you now are the lead for the university on this issue?
We are really excited to be working with our alums and our parents to build a bigger research enterprise, if you will, and to build more sustainable models of intervention and prevention efforts. And so ways to get involved could be to peruse the safe.unc.edu website, where we house all information about our responses, our prevention efforts, and ways to get involved. So becoming educated about the definitions of conduct on campus and being willing to talk to your student if that's appropriate. And so for our parents especially, I would emphasize that option as something that we really want to make sure parents are having conversations with their students before they even come to campus. Check out the SAFE website to see other ways to get involved or ways to point your students in directions to get involved. And as we build this is an inaugural effort. The Senior Prevention Strategy Officer position is the leadership space for a much broader interpersonal violence prevention collaborative that we're hoping to build over the coming years. So there are lots of ways folks can contribute, both in terms of providing us with suggestions through that website or with other resources or connections to people who are involved with this issue. I maintain that it takes a whole community, it takes everyone to prevent interpersonal violence. And so whether that be making a contribution in this space, contributing resources and knowledge or connections, or making sure that our students are well informed when they get here. These are all ways people can be involved to support this effort. And I'm very excited about what the next 3 to 5 years or even 10 years will bring as we continue to build this out into a much broader operation.
That's right. Well, I'm glad, again, that you are the person at the perfect time to lead this effort, because, again, not only an issue across the board at UNC, but across the camp, across the university and the world and the nation. And so, Christi, thank you for taking the time. We will share this pretty widely, so you will get some hits on your website, but don't blame us. We just want to make sure that we're getting the word out about what is happening inside student affairs. And so with that, this has been another incredible episode with Dr. Christi Herc talking about her work as a Senior Strategy Prevention Officer at UNC-Chapel Hill. Tune in next time.